You have no idea what's going on with the shutdown. These are the only two things you need to know. The Democrats refused to sign a budget bill that will cause us to lose a ton of healthcare. They're not asking for more. They're just saying to the Republicans, hey, can we keep what we have? And if we lose it, a lot of people are going to pay double for their healthcare. And the Republicans refused to negotiate, so government got shut down. The second thing is that you're going to hear this lie that the Democrats want to give healthcare to the illegals. And I hate to tell you, but undocumented people can't get healthcare. You're literally just being lied to. That's all you need to know. Tell a friend.
Welcome to day one of a U.S. government shutdown. There is no plan and no deal to reopen it anytime soon. So for those of you who are new to this, welcome to the party. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what comes next and how this is going to impact you. And for those of you who have been through this before, you also need to be paying attention to this video because this shutdown is unlike any other shutdown that any of us have seen in the past. Of course, the politics around this is messy. And I will address that if you want in a totally separate video. But in this video, I just want to give you the nuts and bolts of what is going to happen. Okay, so officially the U.S. government shut down at 12:01 a.m. this morning, October 1st. That means all non-essential government workers have been furloughed and non-essential government agencies and departments have all been closed. According to the White House, that means up to about 750,000 federal employees are going to be off the job. As for federal agencies and departments that are considered essential, they are still open. However, the essential federal workers at those agencies and departments must show up to work and they will not be paid until the government reopens. Now, put a pin in that idea for a second because we're going to come back to it. And this little tidbit is going to impact you. It's super important. But before we get there, let's talk about what are considered some key essential agencies and departments that are staying open. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits, military operations, federal law enforcement, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and air traffic control. They will all stay open. The essential government employees who work at those agencies will all have to show up, but they will not be paid. A general rule of thumb is the shorter the government shutdown lasts, the less impact it will have on everyday Americans. And the longer it lasts, the more it will impact you. Of course, it impacts every federal worker immediately. But for everyone else, if this shutdown is just a few days, it shouldn't really disrupt your life. But if it lasts for more than a week, you're going to start to see some problems. Now, for the record, the last government shutdown we had was in 2018 into 2019 during the first Trump administration. That was the longest shutdown we've seen in like 40 years, and it lasted for 35 days. And those 35 days are what leads me back to this idea I told you to put a pin in. Remember I said these essential workers have to go to work and they won't get paid until the government opens back up. Well, during the last government shutdown that was 35 days, that's a long time, and it basically boils down to missing 2 paychecks. So put yourself in the shoes of these essential government workers. What if your employer said, yeah, I need you to come to work, but I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to give you a paycheck, but you still need to do your job? What happens to your bills? Do you think your landlord would just waive your rent for that month? What about your electric bill? How about your cell phone bill? See, it's a problem. Now, what happened last time was federal workers at TSA, for example, put up with the showing up to work without a paycheck for the first few days and weeks. But by the end, they were like, if you're not going to pay me, I'm just not going to show up anymore. So they started to call in sick to work, which trickled down to air travelers who were facing huge lines at the security checkpoints because lots of the TSA officers just called out sick. Now, here's another example. Remember I said Social Security is considered essential. So yes, you will get your Social Security check. However, some of the Social Security support staff at the Social Security offices are considered non-essential, so they are furloughed. That means if you want to process perhaps a new Social Security or disability claim, or if you have questions about your benefits, getting those answers will start to become very difficult as this shutdown drags on. As for SNAP benefits, those will continue for now. But if this shutdown lasts past the month of October, they may not. One more example I know will impact a lot of you. The Department of Education is furloughing about 80% of its staff. And that's on top of all of the firings we saw earlier this year. So it's slim over there already. So yes, you will still get your student aid disbursement through your Pell Grant or federal direct student loans. And yes, you can still apply to FAFSA. But you will not be able to get any kind of new grant award. And if you have questions about your student loans, answers for those questions are going to become very difficult because the support staff is all furloughed. And by the way, yes, you are still required to pay your student loans back during the government shutdown. The last important thing I want to point out, which makes this shutdown completely different than any other shutdown we've ever seen, is President Trump and his stance on all of this. Usually during a shutdown, the president wants to get federal workers paid and off the furlough as soon as possible, so there's minimal disruption to those workers' lives and the lives of the American people who rely on those government workers and agencies. But President Trump thinks about this differently. He just said yesterday he is going to use this shutdown as an opportunity to further his mission to just slash the federal workforce. He said he wants to cut vast numbers of people. So instead of furloughs, these federal workers may actually get layoff notices or they may actually be fired. He also said he's going to use this shutdown to cut programs that the Democrats like. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he means by that, but I've never heard a president say anything like that, nor have we seen a president use a shutdown to just slash the workforce.
If you are traveling today, October 1st, or in the foreseeable future, you need to watch this video and see how this government shutdown is going to affect your travel plans. TC, and I'm a flight attendant sharing all things travel. So TSA workers and air traffic controllers will continue to work. They are required to come to work, but often what happens because they're not getting paid, they will call out sick. So this can mean delays at TSA, delays with flights, etc. So as I always say, pack your patience. Be prepared for delays. Make sure you've downloaded your airline's app so you can quickly make changes should anything occur. And remember to always be kind to everybody that you encounter, the airport personnel, your fellow passengers, flight attendants, pilots, etc. And share your favorite travel advice below.
This government shutdown just truly shows how just nobody's safe at all. Just nobody's safe when it comes to any type of job. I mean, you got federal employees that are getting laid off and going on furlough, having to go in with no pay. You imagine that? Your bills are due at the end of the month, but you haven't got paid for 15 to 30 days. But you still have to go in. That just goes to show, man, like how important an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months is in these situations. Cause listen, that's a tough one. That's sick. That's sick.
Okay, day one of being furloughed, guys. So I just got an email saying that I've been placed on furlough status. However, during this period, I may be contacted at any time and instructed to perform specific expected work. So I'm not getting paid. I can be on call, basically, and I can't go on a cruise because I was like, oh, maybe I'll go on a little vacation or some. Negative. I have to be available at all times with no pay. Zero money. On call. But I'm furloughed. What the fuck?
Figured out Trump's little secret, and he's going to try to pull it off right in front of us. Now, I don't know if he's going to let the government shut down, but if he does, I know he's not going to lose a wink of sleep over it, because the Bureau of Labor Statistics, he just released a 73-page report on what they'll do if the government shuts down. And in that 73-page report was the news that they will not release a September jobs report on Friday if the government is shut down. Also won't release weekly unemployment claims. And in the middle of October, if the government's still shut down, they won't release inflation data either. And on top of that, they're going to stop collecting data from employers the whole time, which would virtually guarantee October's report is corrupted and incomplete, not unlike every sentence out of Trump's mouth. And the timing really couldn't be better because a major job market researcher just announced that seasonal hiring is the lowest it's been since 2009, which, if you recall, was a catastrophic recession. And of course, everyone knows the job market is trash because of Donald Trump's tariffs and the nonstop chaos in the economy when all employers want is stability. But Trump wants to hide from it because if you don't count it, it isn't real. Just like back in 2020, when a whole ship full of passengers who were sick desperately needed a dock so that the passengers could find a hospital. But Trump didn't want them to dock here, not because he was worried about getting doctors sick, but because he didn't want to count 14 cases. Because really, when it comes down to it, that is all we are to people like Trump. Numbers. If we're good, he claims them, and if they're bad, he either hides from it or blames us for it. Unfortunately for Trump, because we live in the real world, not in mansions with golden ballrooms, we don't need the BLS to tell us it's terrible. All we have to do is ask ourselves one question. Is Trump still the president? We see you, Donald, and we'll see you at the midterms.
I wish I was making this up, but the government shutdown means that I only have 1 week of a salary left. What? No, like you're kidding. No, like you're kidding. So I don't really know what's gonna happen after the 1 week of my salary. If the government stays shut down, I don't know if I'm gonna be laid off. I don't know if I'm gonna be furloughed. I don't know if I'm just gonna not have a job. I have literally no idea. And the gag of it all is that I'm not a federal employee. I work for a nonprofit, but we receive federal funds. And so the state entity that funds my nonprofit cannot draw down funds from the federal government because it is shut down. And then the local agency can't draw the funds from the state because the state can't draw them from the government. And so then the local one can't give them to my company to pay my salary. And this sucks because I like my job. And my job is helping people get jobs. You're telling me I can't help a single mom become a nurse to make a better life for her kids? That's literally what I do. I help young people become mechanics. I help people re-entering the workforce update their resumes and earn new skills and go into new careers. I help people who have been laid off find new jobs. I give people transportation assistance so they can go pick up their kids from school while they're in training. I do mock interviews. I find jobs for people. I literally go on Indeed and LinkedIn and Glassdoor and I'm looking for jobs. I have connections with some of the healthcare systems. I'm getting job postings directly from them. So the Senate didn't pass a budget and the House version of the budget cut the Department of Labor's budget by 68%. The Senate kept it basically the same. Obviously, there was no reconciliation on that. So after next week, I have no idea if I'm going to have a job. I have no idea what workforce programs are going to look like. And this is a bipartisan issue. These workforce programs are national, and they are meant to help people who need help. Guess what? That means red states too. So I am just having the best 2 weeks ever. Call your representatives.
The last government shutdown happened under Trump's administration. I mean, that should tell us something. It seems that every time he's been in the office, he's only been negatively impacting the people. This man does not care for the people. I don't understand MAGA supporters. What do you support? Because these same people are you. There's colored people, doesn't matter what race you are. This also affects you as a government employee, a nonprofit, anybody who's being funded by the government. You're affected by this. What is this Trump regime? None of this is good for the people. Why are people fan of this guy, this president?
The federal government didn't clock in today, but I did. So here's how the government shutdown is going to impact you and your wallet. First and foremost, federal workers not getting a paycheck during this time period. Either you're going to be sent home or you're going to be asked to come in, but you're just not going to be paid. One of the biggest ways this impacts regular people is at the airport. Turns out TSA agents don't like coming to work when they're not being paid, which makes sense, but that does mean longer lines for you. And frankly, the FAA is already down bad. Any other funding lapses could really put it in a bad spot. Next, onto something lighter, SNAP benefits. USDA funds cover SNAP benefits for about a month into a shutdown, but any longer than that, and we might run out of funding. The longest government shutdown in history is 35 days, and it was under this same administration, but just last time. And this becomes a bigger issue because when these vulnerable populations can't get these basic necessities, they're going to have to take out extra debt, either through the form of a predatory payday loan or even just putting these charges on a credit card with a high interest rate. But maybe you're still optimistic. You're going on vacation soon. I hope it's not to a national park or the Smithsonian or the National Zoo because all of those are closed. I hope you got travel insurance. And I have to talk about housing. HUD programs and housing assistance may be disrupted for low-income families. FHA loans may take longer to process and approve, meaning first-time homebuyers could miss out on the dream home. Simply put, a government shutdown leads to more market volatility and economic instability. With the worst part being, low-income communities will suffer the most while the president and Congress continue to get paid during this time. I'm Vivian, your rich BFF. I'm a former Wall Street trader, and if you want to learn more about finance, follow me.
Child, I woke up and the government was shut down. I am a federal employee, honey. I had to, at midnight, I decided I could not go to work today. I had to take off of work. I could not do it. Mental health. The mental health comes first, honey. I couldn't do it. So I had to take off. I took my kid. I still had to get up, though. Normal time, I had to take my kids to school. But I got me a Starbucks, and I got me some egg white bites, and I'm getting back in the bed. Y'all can stress me out maybe Friday, but today and tomorrow, I'm feeling like it's going to be some mental health days.
The people are going to need more than a mental health day when this regime is over, because it doesn't look pretty for anybody. If you made it this far, make sure you drop a blue heart in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.